The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD. It is an international financial institution and a specialized agency of the United Nations. It was established as an international financial institution in 1977 through United Nations General Assembly Resolution 32/107, December 15, 1977, as one of the major outcomes of the 1974 World Food Conference. Headquarters, Rome, Italy. It is a member of the United Nations Development Group. Governance. Its governing council, consisting of representatives of more than 160 member states, is the principal decision-making body. Its 18-member executive board oversees daily operations. Functions. It focuses exclusively on rural poverty reduction, working with poor rural populations in developing countries to eliminate poverty, hunger, and malnutrition, raise their productivity and incomes, and improve the quality of their lives. IFAD seeks to empower rural people to increase their food security, improve the nutrition of their families, and increase their incomes through funding of grants and low-interest loans to several projects. The IFAD assists vulnerable groups such as smallholder farmers, pastoralists, foresters, fishers, and small-scale entrepreneurs in rural areas by providing, among others, access to weather information, disaster preparedness, social learning, and technology transfer that enables farmers to feed growing populations and increase the climate resilience of rural farming systems. IFAD is an international organization whose objective is to improve agricultural development and livelihoods in developing countries. Its projects and programs are carried out in remote and environmentally fragile locations, including least developed countries and small island developing states. The IFAD assists vulnerable groups such as smallholder farmers, pastoralists, foresters, fishers, and small-scale entrepreneurs in rural areas by providing, among others, access to weather information, disaster preparedness, social learning, and technology transfer that enables farmers to feed growing populations and increase the climate resilience of rural farming systems. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, French, Fonds International de Développement Agricole, FIDA, is an international financial institution and a specialized agency of the United Nations that works to address poverty and hunger in rural areas of developing countries. It is the only multilateral development organization that focuses solely on rural economies and food security. IFAD has 178 member states comprised of developing, middle and high-income countries from all regions of the world who are dedicated to eradicating poverty in rural areas. Membership in IFAD is open to any state that is a member of the United Nations, any of its specialized agencies, or the International Atomic Energy Agency. We do not impose mandatory annual assessments of contributions from our member states, but nearly 100 members voluntarily support the fund through financial contributions as a sign of their commitment to IFAD. Headquartered in Rome, IFAD is involved in over 200 projects across nearly 100 countries. It funds and sponsors initiatives that improve land and water management, develop rural infrastructure, train and educate farmers in more efficient technologies, build up resilience against climate change, enhancing market accessibility, and more. IFAD has 178 member states and works in partnership with the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and members of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. As of 2021, since its foundation, IFAD has provided $23.2 billion in loans and grants and coordinated an addition $31 billion in international and domestic co-financing. IFAD was established as an international financial institution in 1977 through United Nations General Assembly Resolution 32/107, December 30, 1977, as one of the major outcomes of the 1974 World Food Conference. Its headquarters are in Rome, Italy, and it is a member of the United Nations Development Group. The current president of the IFAD is Alvaro Lario from Spain, who took over from Gilbert Haungbo in late 2022. IFAD works in remote rural areas of the world to help countries achieve the Millennium Development Goals. Through low-interest loans and grants, IFAD develops and finances projects that enable rural poor people to overcome poverty themselves. IFAD tackles poverty not just as a lender, but as an advocate for the small farmers, herders, fisherfolk, landless workers, artisans, and indigenous peoples who live in rural areas and represent 75% of the world's 1.2 billion extremely poor people. IFAD works with governments, donors, non-governmental organizations, local communities, and many other partners to fight the underlying causes of rural poverty. It acts as a catalyst, bringing together partners, resources, knowledge, and policies that create the conditions in which rural poor people can increase agricultural productivity, as well as seek out other options for earning income. IFAD-supported rural development programs and projects increase rural poor people's access to financial services, markets, technology, land, and other natural resources. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, a specialized agency of the United Nations, was one of the major outcomes of the 1974 World Food Conference. The conference was organized by the United Nations in response to the food crises of the early 1970s, when global food shortages were causing widespread famine and malnutrition, primarily in the Sahelian countries of Africa. World leaders realized that food insecurity and famine were not so much failures in food production but structural problems relating to poverty. This was compounded by the fact that the majority of the developing world's poor people lived in rural areas. In response to these complex challenges, it was decided that an international fund for development should be established immediately to finance agricultural development projects, primarily for food production in the developing countries. The fund shall provide financing primarily for projects and programs specifically designed to introduce, expand, or improve food production systems and to strengthen related policies and institutions. 3 years after the Rome Conference, IFAD was set up as an international financial institution in 1977. Since then, IFAD-supported projects have reached millions of people. The starting point for a world without poverty and hunger is the rural world. An estimated 3.4 billion people, around 45% of the global population, live in the rural areas of developing countries. Most depend on small, family farms for their income and sustenance. Rural people grow the food that feeds their nations, but they are also disproportionately poor. 80% of the women, children, and men living in extreme poverty live in rural areas, not cities. Investing in rural people is a long-term solution to so many of the problems we face today. Hunger, poverty, youth unemployment, and forced migration, all have deep roots in rural areas, and all can be vastly improved through investing in small-scale agriculture and inclusive rural development. In sub-Saharan Africa, investment in agriculture is up to 11 times more effective in reducing extreme poverty than investment in any other sector. Why? Because successful small farms provide jobs for unskilled laborers. Small family farms generate income that is spent in rural communities and stimulates rural economies, which in turn contribute to peace and security. And farms grow the food that feeds us all. Today's generation of young people, at 1.8 billion, is the largest ever. Most live in the rural areas of low and middle income countries. They are 2 to 3 times more likely to be unemployed than adults. And they are also more likely to be poor. As a result, they are more likely to leave their homes to search for work. Unless we invest in rural areas, and develop strong rural economies with attractive prospects for young people, they will be forced to migrate, first to the city, and then, if they cannot find decent employment, across borders to neighboring countries and beyond. Rural development is central to ending hunger and poverty, and crucial to meeting the new SDGs. IFAD-supported projects connect poor rural people to markets and services so they can grow more and earn more. More than that, our projects also transform rural communities economically and socially, and promote gender equality and inclusiveness. Investing in rural people is investing in a brighter future for everyone. Rural development can be a powerful force for change when it includes and empowers poor rural women and men. Economic growth on its own does not change lives, but investing in the resilience and market participation of small-scale producers can make a lasting difference. To farm successfully, smallholders need secure access to land and water, affordable electricity, better access to financial services, paved roads and transportation to get their products to market, and access to technology for up-to-date and reliable market information. They also need to be linked to functioning markets so that they have an incentive to invest in improving production. IFAD supports projects that connect poor rural people to markets and services so they can grow more and earn more. More than that, our projects also transform rural communities economically and socially, and promote gender equality and inclusiveness. Investments that make a difference. The impact of our investments is wide-ranging. Because of our work, families are able to feed themselves and contribute to overall food security. Parents and children have decent nutrition and health. Economic security is created in rural communities. Women, indigenous peoples, and other disadvantaged groups are empowered. Young women and men are choosing to build businesses in their rural communities. Rural people are becoming more resilient to climate shocks. Key results. IFAD has a strong focus on results. We measure performance through the Results Measurement Frameworks, RMFs, agreed with member states in the context of IFAD's replenishment consultations. Progress is reported annually to the Executive Board and its Evaluation Committee in the Report on IFAD's Development Effectiveness, RIDE, and the Annual Report on the Independent Evaluation of IFAD, RE, produced by the Independent Office of Evaluation of IFAD. In recent years, IFAD has increasingly strengthened its focus on measuring results. The IFAD 11 Impact Assessment broadens the evidence base for measuring IFAD's impact. Thanks to IFAD's investments, between 2019 and 2021, IFAD reached 112 million people. More than 77 million people increased their incomes. More than 62 million people expanded their productive capacities. More than 64 million people improved their market access. Around 38 million people strengthened their resilience. IFAD works continuously to improve its effectiveness in order to deliver the strongest results for the millions of poor rural men and women in developing countries we aim to reach. We judge ourselves by whether our development results are inclusive and provide benefits that are sustainable and cost-effective. We have developed effective monitoring and evaluation, M&E, and knowledge management systems and tools to measure, assess, and document our achievements and pinpoint areas where improvement is needed. This enables IFAD to constantly improve the way in which it designs development projects, monitors progress, and measures results and impact. IFAD's renewed agenda for results management is embodied in the Development Effectiveness Framework, DEF, a package of actions that comprehensively shift the culture and underlying infrastructure in this area. The DEF will enhance IFAD's and country-level capacities to manage for results, and help us and our project partners make better informed decisions based on timely and reliable data and evidence. Top-quality project design is a fundamental building block for impact in the countries where IFAD works. Bringing about effective development requires backing projects that are likely to be successful in achieving development objectives, doing the right things, and designing individual projects that are geared towards meeting intended objectives, doing things right. Doing the right things requires a country strategy, a result-based country strategic opportunities program or a country strategy note, that carefully assesses the rural development situation and outlines the scope for interventions that match government and IFAD priorities in promoting rural development. Doing things right requires ensuring that individual projects are designed and implemented to have the highest likelihood of effectively bringing about development. To be effective, interventions need to be designed to address a development problem. Failure to do so means that investments are not targeting a fundamental reason for underdevelopment. Adequately addressing a development problem requires analyzing the underlying causes of that problem, and proposing a solution that provides evidence and a clear logic, a theory of change, of what has been shown to be successful in overcoming the identified constraints. IFAD constantly monitors the progress of its investment projects against established objectives and indicators. Development effectiveness requires that data collection systems are sufficiently planned at design and implemented along with the project to ensure that information on the success and limitations of projects is adequately collected. A set of core indicators, SIS, have been adopted to help us more accurately assess project results. Status and supervision reports provide data for measuring and monitoring project performance during implementation, with results at output and outcome level being regularly measured and reported. Project completion reports self-assess performance and results at the end of a project. These are complemented by project evaluations that the Independent Office of Evaluation, IOE, at IFAD conducts on a sample basis. IFAD's Operational Results Management System, ORMS, supports reporting on projects' outputs and outcomes. The ORMS is a key part of the effort to streamline project cycle processes and enhance data analytics. Upgrading country M&E capacities and systems is critical to our agenda for improved results management. IFAD has developed a three-pronged, innovative approach that addresses these local capacity challenges at different levels. The Program in Rural Monitoring and Evaluation, known as PRIME, helps governments strengthen their M&E capabilities to develop M&E training in rural development that will be delivered to project staff. Avanti, Advancing Knowledge for Agricultural Impact, is another initiative that will enable our partners to assess in-country M&E systems in the rural sector in up to 20 countries with the aim of detecting shortfalls and elaborating concrete action plans to address them. The Deliver initiative, being piloted in 5 countries, works at the highest political level to improve results achievement in agriculture, by establishing high-quality delivery units that will deliver results-based management in the national ministries of agriculture, presidents, or prime ministers' offices. IFAD's impact assessments foster the generation of high-quality evidence, ensuring objective impact assessments and reporting of the attributable impact of its operations, along with documenting lessons learned from IFAD-supported projects. IFAD employs rigorous approaches to directly assess impact, allowing for proper attribution of impact to IFAD's investments. By aggregating the impact estimates from a critical mass of project-level impact assessments representing 15% of IFAD's portfolio in every 3-year replenishment cycle, and projecting them to all projects implemented within the same period, IFAD is able to measure its overall impact at corporate level. This is a unique approach among international organizations which allows IFAD to effectively communicate its results and contributions to achieving the SDGs. The Report on IFAD's Development Effectiveness, RIDE, is the fund's main corporate document reporting on institutional and development effectiveness. While it reports on progress against the indicators and targets in the fund's Results Management Framework, RMF, including impact indicators through the Impact Assessment Agenda, the main objective of the RIDE is to strengthen accountability and learning as well as identifying systemic issues that need attention for improving organizational performance and results. The Annual Report on the Independent Evaluation, ARI, is issued by IFAD's Independent Office of Evaluation and examines IFAD's overall program performance each year. It is IFAD's principal external accountability tool and allows us to monitor the effectiveness of our work. Until 2021, this report was called the Annual Report on Results and Impact of IFAD Operations, ARRI. Thank you for watching video.